Welcome back to Today in Rocket Science. I'm Adam Balkin. Monkey see, monkey do, as they say. That's what one researcher for the cigarette company Philip Morris discovered in the early 80s when doing research on drug addiction. After years of being silenced by the very company he worked for, Victor DeNoble began reaching out to youth and teaching them about the science behind addiction and how it affects your brain. Our Susie Theodori gets a lesson on how drugs can change your brain. Susie.
Thanks, Adam. I'm at San Isidro High School in San Diego, and Dr. Victor DeNoble is here giving the hard facts about what addiction does to your brain.
Dr. DeNoble is doing today what he does in hundreds of classrooms across the country, teaching the science of addiction in a rather unusual way.
Oh, we're going to talk about rats. Rats getting addicted to drugs. Rats getting addicted to nicotine specifically. And why would rats get addicted to nicotine? Rats don't have social pressures, rats don't want to lose weight, rats don't go to the movies, rats don't read magazines. No, they're going to observe an animal getting addicted to a drug because the drug changes the way their brain works.
DeNoble was a researcher for the cigarette company Philip Morris in the early 80s, searching for a way to lessen the harmful effects of cigarettes. But in the process discovered the harm cigarette smoking can do to your brain.
You're changing the way your brain works. So you start out you wanting to use that drug. And as the drug takes over your brain, you now have to use that drug. And I think that's an important concept for young people to understand. It's not a habit, it's an addiction. And addiction means a brain change.
Victor's presentation involves demonstrations of a human brain and his research with rats during his time at Philip Morris.
Science is factual. It's non-emotional. It's non-judgmental. What these young people need to hear are, here's the information, here's the science, here's the facts, it's your decision.
And the takeaway is immediate.
When teachers tell you something and parents tell you something, us as teenagers, we're obviously not going to listen. It's just in our nature, we're not going to listen. And when a scientist actually comes in here, it's like when a doctor tells you something, you're going to listen. Whether you like it or not, whether you admit it or not, you're going to listen.
He really showed me how it affects not only your body but your brain, and I think it's very important to realize how teenagers don't really understand.
Victor says the presentation is about more than just drug prevention. It's about changing students' perceptions of science.
You're showing them that science is fun. You know, it's okay to be a nerdy scientist. You know, I like that term. I'm a nerdy scientist. I love science. And if I can get one kid, and I have gotten kids to say, wow, you know, I do want to become a scientist. I think science could be so much fun.
I always thought scientists were more serious, but he looked really awesome. Like, I think now he opened my eyes and I really want to be a scientist.
For It Ain't Rocket Science, I'm Susie Theodori.
Dr. DeNoble's work on the neuroscience behind addiction was actually the inspiration for the documentary Addiction Incorporated. And you'd probably be surprised how often those in the entertainment and media rely on science to tell a story. One organization, the Science Entertainment Exchange, provides scientists to writers and producers and directors to help use fact to bring fiction to life.
Our mission is to inspire Hollywood with accurate science. Within the development process, writer, directors, producers may have questions about science as they work on their stories, and it's our job to find them great consultants who can speak accurately and articulately and in plain English.
I believe I've isolated the algorithm from making friends.
Just allowing an entertainer to meet a scientist as they develop their storyline, create those characters, changes the dialogue for what it means to be a scientist in media, which I think changes the public's perception of science as well.
Scientists aren't always stuck in a lab. We're out engaging with other people, other professionals that do things that are related to what we do, and in some cases with the exchange, things that are unrelated to the things that we're working on.
But if you can insert some scientific basis, some interesting questions for people to explore, that gets, you know, we're collaborating in things like Fringe or the Big Bang Theory or Castle, and some of the science that you help portraying in there will literally reach millions of people with one exposure.
The technology you've put inside yourself is in the process of completely reshaping your brain.
Well, what we found is the relationship between the entertainment industry and the scientists has blossomed in a lot of different directions because it's, you know, the exchange isn't just for fact-checking. It's an opportunity to brainstorm. We've had some instances where, you know, a movie like an Iron Man 2 came to us and said, you know, we have this big pivotal scene at the end of our movie, and You know, we have a lot of ideas on what we want it to look like and how we want it to work, but we don't know exactly what it is. And it was an opportunity for our scientists to help them solve that problem and figure out what makes sense for Tony Stark in his Iron Man character to create in order to make the story work.
I think every generation of kids is inspired by some character out there that gets them thinking. You know, someone in the 70s or early 80s saw 2001: A Space Odyssey and saw these little screens where they were talking to each other and said, I want to build that, and ended up becoming an engineer at Apple and built it. And for kids, you know, you are going to be the next Steve Jobs, and what you see on the screen is going to help inspire you to be that.
The silver screen isn't the only entertainment that has its roots in science. A new 10,000 square foot exhibit in Kansas City shares the history and the science that has been bringing screaming fans to their feet at rock concerts for decades.
The Science of Rock and Roll is a traveling exhibition unlike any other in the world.
What we're doing is telling the story of how all this music came to be through the lens of science and technology.
Where we created animations that explain how instruments work, learning how guitars work, how keyboards make their sound, and then you'll actually be able to put those to the test with hands-on guitars, bass, drums, keyboard, where you'll be able to follow along on a video screen of kind of how to simply play that instrument.
Whatever you're doing, you press I liked it, you scan this and email it to yourself, a little video.
Then when you go home, you have that video of yourself playing that instrument, learning about that instrument.
We've tailored a part of this exhibition for educational purposes. We distribute these materials to teachers who set up the field trip. They come, they visit, everybody plays and learns. Then they go back to the classroom and review. So it's a fantastic way for the kids to have fun on a field trip and to learn something about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
I had such an amazing time. It was really fun down here. I had lots of fun.
It has been an exciting year for us here at Ain't Rocket Science, and although no one has nailed down the science of time travel quite yet, we've had a blast presenting some of the coolest ideas in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. We launched this season with FIRST Robotics and followed those basketball-playing robots across the country all the way to the finals in St. Louis, where the top bot was crowned. Back in New York City, the World Science Festival and World Makers Fair brought innovators and their inventions from across the globe together. We also met leaders in science, technology, engineering, and math, including Jane Goodall, one of the foremost authorities in the world on chimpanzees, Bill James, who pioneered sabermetrics, a way of looking at the value of ball players, which was the inspiration for the acclaimed film Moneyball, and even actor Jim Parsons, who plays the uber-nerdy physicist Sheldon Cooper on CBS's The Big Bang Theory. If you missed any of our episodes this year, you can watch them all at connectamillionminds.com. And if you're a parent or guardian and want to encourage a young, inquisitive mind, visit our Connectory for a wide array of after-school programs in science, technology, engineering, and math. It's been quite a year for It Ain't Rocket Science and for Time Warner Cable's Connect a Million Minds. We're looking forward to the year 2013 and seeing how you get involved. But for now, until next time, it's been a blast.